In the next few minutes I want to speak about the maturity of project management in organizations and its relation to achieving organizational goals, achieving strategic goals. The two are related because basically there are two ways to develop, to reach goals in organizations. One is something like an evolutionary development, that you try to do everything a little better than you used to. It is an evolutionary approach. You make small changes, you tweak a little bit your processes and try to be more efficient. It is important because you can achieve a lot if you do it right, but sometimes you face problems that need some kind of like a more overall solution. So even if it is sometimes it is simple in terms of the problem is clear, it is easy to understand, and maybe in some cases the solution is more simple to understand and simpler to develop than with the evolutionary approach, but you need to change, you need to implement change in more places in your processes, or you need to develop or establish or introduce a new process affecting many fields. So you need to do it in a coordinated fashion. And that kind of change, that kind of development can be achieved by defining and executing projects. Therefore, how do you approach projects in your organization defines to a great extent the success of your strategy execution. I mean, you can still have a bad strategy, but if your strategy is right, if your strategic goals are the ones you should have, then the way you approach projects in your organization, the way you deal with projects in your organization determines the level of your success. Now, there are different levels of the maturity of project management in organizations, starting from the bottom to the top. The first stage is first level, the lowest level is when you have nothing, so you don't care, you don't even realize that you have projects or you need to manage as projects. You just see something you need to do and tell someone to do it, and you don't coordinate, don't realize the need for coordination. On the second stage, on the second level, it is like you realize that you need projects and try to define projects, but you don't really take it seriously. So you just make some forms, make some templates, and act as if you were working in projects to achieve your goals, but you don't really care. On the third stage, third level, you start to take it seriously, but you are slow to react. It is when you realize the need for better project management, but you either don't know how to do it, or don't have the resources, or don't have the knowledge to do it better. And then the next level is a reactive phase, when you kind of start to do a lot of things right, but you change or make changes or improve your processes only when they need to, in a reactive fashion. So only when something doesn't work, you try to react to that and try to improve, but don't make any effort to foresee problems and make measures to prevent them or optimize your processes or improve your processes before they become too inefficient. Now, there are different aspects to look for when you evaluate the project management maturity of your organization. One is providing training. On the first two levels, there are no project management training in the organization. I mean, there could be exceptions, but if you have no formal project management training to anyone in your organization, you are most likely on the lowest or the second lowest level. Then you start to introduce, when you start to introduce training for managers only, you transition to the third level, and sporadic training for project teams takes you to the next level. If you have a proactive project management practice, you have a proactive, the highest level of project management maturity, then everyone at the organization gets training in project management or project-related issues. The second aspect to look for is management support for project management. The lowest level is characterized by an approach of sink or swim. So you got your mission, and the manager don't care how you do it, what resources you use. You are responsible for your project, and you either succeed or fail. It is somewhat better if you get the attention. Managers care about projects and project outcomes, but there are impossible addicts, so they don't really consider constraints, just express their wishes, and you are responsible for meeting them. And as you reach the higher levels, this changes into something like they do care, they consider the constraints, but they are reluctant to deal with the problems. And then they start to figure out solutions, start to standardize solutions, start to create or give something like a reference manual for how to solve these problems. But they still keep a distance. This is the reactive phase, the reactive level, and at the highest level, management is continuously engaged with projects. So they pay attention, they do care, and they provide the support for project teams and project managers they need. It doesn't always mean that you get everything you wish as a project manager or as a team member, but it's like if you try to do your best, then you will see that management is also trying to do their best, because there are constraints on higher levels, there are organizational constraints as well, so you may not get everything you want, and you need to be resourceful to succeed, but at least it doesn't depend on ignorance from management side. Processes are also indicators of your project management maturity. On the lowest levels, they are absent or counterproductive. Then there, but they are something like as the customer wants it. So it is like okay, we have some processes, but how would you like us to carry out this project, and tell me, and then we make that the rule, and then on the reactive level comes some kind of standardization, and if you are proactive, if you get to the proactive level, then processes are not only standardized but updated regularly, because there are always changes in the organization and you need to react to that. How project budgets are managed is also an indicator of project management maturity. At the lowest levels, project budgets are not well defined. It is like you start the project without considering its resource needs, budget needs, and as you go, you just ask for money, or or the management just provides money for the next expense as you go, and there is no established budget for the project before the project starts, or any kind of consideration of that. The next level is that you have some kind of budget, but project management has no budget authority in any sense. So it is like you establish a budget without calculating how much money you need, and of course if you need more, then you go to the management to provide some more, but it is not up to you. There is no planning, so you have no arguments in the discussions over the budget, because there is no established plans, or no the budget is not grounded on calculations, or at least estimates. On the next level, you have an established budget, but there are many variances because calculations were not made before the project started, and you don't have the authority to include or have some kind of reserve on the project. So anytime you need to access more resources, or you need to adjust your budget, increase or decrease it, you need to get approval for all the variances and changes, even the smallest budget changes, budget variances. On the reactive level, there is some kind of controlled cost management. So you have, or you already have a budget based on calculation, based on planning, and maybe you have some independence, some autonomy as a project manager, but a lot of things still depends on reactive solutions, and on the highest level you plan before you define your budget, and you know exactly how much and what kind of resources you need before you start your project. So even if you need to change something, then it is easy to rationalize the change, it is easy to explain the change, because the plans are there, and the modifications of the plans also show you the excess amount needed, or the savings you realized you achieved. Then of course, project controls are also indicators of the level of project management maturity. The lowest levels are characterized by the lack of controls or arbitrary controls, and in the slow to react phase, there is some kind of force fit. So I mean, controls are adjusted as you go, or there are controls, but you carve the project into the mold. If it doesn't fit, then you play with the numbers a little, and the project goals are subordinated to these controls in the sense that management and the organization is more concerned about whether you, for example, exceed the budget or reach a milestone at the exact deadline, or so management is more concerned about controls like intermediate deadlines, precise numbers of budget without proper planning, than about project goals. So when you have some kind of variance or deviation, then project goals will be the victim of making the numbers look good. And on the reactive level, you have some basic controls that already make sense. And on the proactive level, controls are comprehensive and effective. So you use control mechanisms that make sense, and they become tools instead of means. So your goal is the use of project controls serves the purpose of achieving project goals, and not the project serves the purpose of fitting into these controls. Then project communication is also an indicator of project management maturity. At the lowest level, project communication is either non-existent or closed, just within project members, and nothing is very transparent, and it's a kind of closed, defensive, intransparent project environment, intransparent communication. Then maybe you start something, I mean project teams and project environment start something like they start to talk about projects and start to communicate between project members and stakeholders, but it is rather only when they must. So it is rather avoided. And on the next level, project communication appears as an everyday aspect of project execution, but it is mostly defensive. So it is mostly about explaining why we are not there, explaining deviations, problems, and explaining in a sense that you can't afford to be vulnerable because that's not tolerated. So you always look for external causes, external reasons, and try to put the blame on someone else. And that's the goal of project communication at this level of maturity. On the next level, you can already afford taking responsibility for mistakes. It is accepted that it is part of work and part of life. You can already be honest but the communication is formal. So there are project management forums, project management bodies where you can communicate and where you can bring up issues and where you can look for solutions, but there are really formal and really like clumsy, really hard to get over the red tape to get a decision when you have a problem. At the proactive level, project communication is open, so there is a big emphasis on project visibility at all levels, which means that stakeholders, including external stakeholders, I mean, not project members, but and not only something like sponsors and project management officers, but other members of the organization who are affected some way by the project or its results, access information, mostly without asking. So whenever they think they need something, need an update, then they know where to look for. And on the other hand, if the project needs information, project members can reach out to other members of the organization and get quick responses without too much formal steps. Of course, you still need approvals for major decisions, but at least you can raise the issues quickly, get feedback on options quickly, and possible decisions as well, and just make the final steps to make the decisions official, so to get the approval. But you already know the solution by then. Finally, the most accurate indicator of project management maturity at an organization is the level of authority project managers have. On the lowest level, project management authority is undefined, which means that it is not clear whether the project manager can call team members to carry out project tasks at the time the project needs them, or it is just like, okay, I provide the information, and whenever your line manager lets you do the task, then you do it, and maybe you are a member of the project, but you don't have time to work on the project, and the project manager can do nothing about this. So, and it is not like you need to fight for the resources, because resources are often over-allocated, but beyond that, there are no rules to decide whether you have the authority to step up to the line manager to provide the resource at the time you need it or not. It depends on your person, it depends on your personal relations or the actual situation, but nobody knows in advance. The second stage is the second level is responsibility without authority. So you are responsible for the results and project executions, but you don't have authority over project team members. And now the difference between the two is that in the first phase, in the first level, the lowest level, maybe even the responsibility of the project manager is not clear, because maybe there is no project manager. I have a video, it is in Hungarian, about the project management practice of the public sector, where they just start 10 new projects, allocate 10 people, the same 10 people to each of those 10 projects, and even if they have some kind of project management or someone dedicated as project manager, they have no authority about the others. And it is not clear whether they are responsible for the execution. Often they don't even have a project manager, they just allocated a team to solve the problem, but they didn't even say that some of you is the project manager and he is responsible for coordination or something. On the next level, when organizations act as if they care about project management, but they don't really care, the project manager's responsibility is there, but they have no authority over resources. So they cannot command resources. They are exposed, vulnerable to changing situations, and line managers and the operative tasks of project team members, whether they are available for project work or not. And at the next level, some kind of authority is delegated to project managers, but only reluctantly. Only when there are recurring problems, then management gives some authority, some real authority to project managers, but that's not very stable, and it's rather the exception than the rule. So even if they have authority over the resources, it can be hard to use it or keep it, because that's not the norm at the organization, and you need frequent confirmation that you do have that authority in that project. On the reactive stage, this reluctance isn't there already, but project managers still have limited authority over resources or the budget or anything project related. For example, how they carry out their tasks, even if it is within budget, within resources, but you can have multiple approaches that then you may or may not be authorized to select the approach you want to use in your project. So that also belongs to this field. So in the reactive phase, project managers has authority. That's the norm. So at least it is easier to protect your authority, easier to show your authority, easier to use it, because it is not questioned already, but it is limited to certain aspects of the project. For example, you can command your resources, but you cannot select the approach for that project phase or for the project. You cannot go agile for a stage of your project, or you cannot use some kind of structured approach, but you need to use what management decided for the project. Or you can even choose that, but you need to report all budget variances before you can act in anything. So you have zero reserve on the project, or in any aspect you have authority in some aspects of the project and you don't have in others. And in a proactive project environment, at the proactive level of project management maturity, project managers has full authority over the project. And of course, it also involves full responsibility, but as you could see, responsibility always precedes authority in a project setting, so I didn't mention that at all levels, but responsibility is usually there. By the way, in practice, even responsibility is often limited, because if you don't have full authority, then it's a kind of, it is not makes the management happy when they need to accept that with these limitations some goals cannot be achieved, but it is accepted. But it is always some kind of discussion, debate, and maybe this is not the most important aspect of responsibility and authority, but it is about whether your means to achieve project goals are limited because of the lack of authority. So, project management maturity can be assessed alongside these dimensions. And how do you approach project management at the organization? How willing are you to improve your processes, improve your project management techniques, controls, approaches? Determines your potential to succeed with achieving your strategic goals at the organizations at the end of the